let's consider this example in terms of how to better understand the energy field concepts. Okay. Let's say a young man, let's call him Jason. He was born in, lower middle class, I would say, borderline poverty, lived in a very, low income apartment building, raised by a single mother. So his whole life, he watched his mother cry every other night about how she was struggling raising this young boy. She had to hold two jobs. She always felt like no matter what they did, the money was not enough, life was hard. And Jason grew up thinking that life was tough for them. And no matter how hard his mother tried, things were never quite as comfortable as they would hope for. So he promised himself and his mother that one day when he grows up, and when he gets old enough and strong enough and educated enough, then he will do everything in his power to make sure that mom is happy, mom feels safe, and they feel safe, and he will have enough to feel like life is going the right way. So Jason went on and got a great education. He ended up enrolling in medical school. He did well, did his internship, and he became a doctor. His life seems to be going in the right direction. He also manages to get his mother out of that, building in the low income building and got her a nice house in the suburbs. So on paper, it seems like Jason lived up to his promise. He did everything he set out to do. He took all the right steps. He worked hard. He gave himself the life that he always wished he could have. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? So, throughout his life, whenever it was his mother's birthday, Jason's tried his best to make it as special as possible. And at some point in his 40s, Jason realizes that no matter what he tries to do for his mother on her birthday, it never seems to make her as happy as he was expecting to be. So, Jason somehow had the courage to ask his mother. It's like, mother, all these years I'm working really hard and I'm trying. I tried my best to give you everything that I could every year to make you happy. And somehow it doesn't seem like you as happy as I thought you would be. And the mother's response was, well, I'm doing my best. I mean, after all, life is hard. And that just kind of broke his heart because he thought if he could just be in position to offer his mother all the things that she did not have, that she would be happy. Then he went home and started reflecting on his own life. So he realized that he himself was not happy despite all his accomplishments and all the things that he could have offered himself at that point in his life. So he ended up spending the evening just crying his eyes out. He realizes that over the years, he was so obsessed with getting out of that situation that he grew up in without really thinking, am I actually feeling the way that I want to feel, right? Because we all live under the assumption that if we go out and accomplish all the goals that we set out to accomplish, that somehow we will feel differently about ourselves, which we do. In a lot of cases, you'll feel differently for a while, but then there's an underlying set of emotions that do not seem to leave you, right? So if we look at Jason's situation, yes, he did great. He should be proud of himself. But somehow he was not living a fulfilling life. He was not happy. And neither was his mother. And we'll get to that later. So in Jason's case, right, why wasn't he as happy as he was expecting to be after all his accomplishment? And this is where the energy field concept comes in. See, despite the fact that Jason somehow, some way ended up building a successful life for himself, deep inside, he did not feel as the world would expect him to feel or as him himself would expect to feel based on the accomplishment he had in life because he lived in an energy field where he felt like whatever he did or whatever they did as a family was not enough. He always feels like there was something missing in his life. And this ended up costing him multiple relationships and even a marriage. The energy field that you live in determines the quality of your life, the quality of the emotions that you live with on a daily basis, right? So on the surface, we have many things that we should be grateful for. But unfortunately, because of the energy field that you've been living in all these years, it's almost impossible to bring yourself to fully enjoy and fully accept that your life is wonderful. It becomes impossible to feel fulfilled and happy in life because of the quality of the energy field that you live in. And just like we mentioned in the previous video, where the energy field is kind of like a bubble that you live in. And when it feels suffocating inside that bubble, when the temperature is too hot and you feel confined in a tight space, that's how it works. No matter what life gives you, you feel confined in a tight space. You feel like the temperature is just not right. So this is why, as far as the work that I do, I encourage every single person to do that energy level self-analysis, to understand the makeup of your energy field and how it's affecting the quality of your life, so that you can clear whatever you need to clear, so that you can live in happier and more fulfilling life and be at peace with yourself on every single level.